Welcome back to the Muskegon Channel. It's Andy O'Reilly for our final segment with Kelly DeVos here. It's been a running segment for the last few weeks leading up to the Walk to End Alzheimer's, which is happening September 21st down at Heritage Landing. It's all a part of the Alzheimer's Association. Why they came to me and said, Andy, would you be a spokesman for the Alzheimer's Association this year? I have no idea.
Because it's you and you're awesome.
Oh, and, no, I'm not awesome by any stretch of the imagination. And as I thought, I got to go into my arsenal of people I know that have a little more knowledge than I do, which isn't hard to find on any given subject. But I met Kelly here last year at the Alzheimer's Walk. She asked me if I'd come down and MC the thing, and I said, sure, I'll come do that. A piece of cake. And we've kind of struck up a friendship since. And, in our first segment, I think it's been a while now. Our first segment, we kind of talked about giving back.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I can do to give something back. And I think it's on twofold. I think, number one, not only can I have you tell your story to everybody out there and share your experience, strength, and hope with what you've been through with Alzheimer's disease, but I can also give you an opportunity to leave a little of your history behind. And what this has been like for you as a person and as a woman and as a daughter and as a mother and all this other kind of stuff. This is a journal. This is a gift for you as much as it is.
Well,
And there will come a day, I hope, that you'll be able to look back at these videos and say, look at what I've done. You try to minimize it because you're living it.
I was going to say, I'm not sure I'm there yet.
But here's the thing. Outside of all of this that's gone on, the world sees you as a champion.
And see, I see myself as a fraud.
I get it. I so get it. I totally understand that. But there will come a day, somewhere way down the line, where you don't know me anymore, and who knows with me, right? I could be dead next week. But there will come a day when you look back, and maybe you're sharing it with grandkids, or you're sharing it with some coworkers or your kids or something like that, and this is my give back to you to show you what a remarkable set of circumstances you've lived through, what a remarkable set of circumstances you've not only learned, but learned enough about to give back to other people. And that to me is how humanity works. We take where we have struggled, and with me it was alcohol, and for me to be able to sit down with somebody that's at that first stage of the acceptance of the fact that they have a problem, the realization that they don't know where to turn, that they've hit bottom, and the understanding that they need to reach a hand out to help somebody, to ask for help.
Yeah.
Those are big things to me.
Yeah.
Those are all things that you've done and continue to do with this Alzheimer's thing. And when you're walking through it, it doesn't feel like it.
No.
Because it's just your life day in and day out.
Yeah, it's just I'm doing what I have to do.
But there are people out here that see what you're doing, and that's why I asked you to do this. Not somebody from the Alzheimer's Association, and not somebody from, not some spokesman that's polished and knows everything about this.
Yeah.
I want you to tell your story, and you've been remarkable.
I hope if anything is taken away from this is anyone else that's going through this, you just know it's okay. It's okay to have that resentment. It's okay to be angry. I still think, like I said, I'm a fraud. Everyone says, oh, you're doing phenomenally and you're just doing this wonderful thing. And I'm like, but you're not hearing the thoughts in my head.
No.
You're not hearing, the anger and the sniping and the resentment. Yeah, the screaming. And just, you don't hear the thoughts that, I'm like, I am not a nice person. Because I'm like, I'm not a nice person.
You don't need to be a nice person. You don't need to be a nice person to be a miracle. You don't need to be. But you've gone through all this, and we've got one more stage now to talk about, and that's your father that's in care.
Yep.
So we got to the point where the family was kind of getting pulled apart a little bit.
Yeah.
We'd have dinner, and everybody'd go to their room. They'd be disconnected. Your dad was getting more and more, not necessarily aggressive, but more agitated.
Yeah, he'd get very agitated.
Yeah. And
easily.
Yeah.
Frustrated. If any got frustrated. And the more agitated he got, the more the Alzheimer's would kick in, the more that he would forget things and lose things and then get even angrier.
Yeah. At this point, does your dad understand Alzheimer's, that he's got this and it's affecting him? Has it been through everything with life circles and all the doctors and all that? Does he understand that now?
He understands he has memory problems.
Okay, that's it.
If you ask him, he has memory problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep. And that's where we keep it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, as much as my life, I was trying to keep a lot of that resentment and anger from him. I hope he never realizes how frustrated I was and how angry I was. Because it's not his fault.
Right.
It's not. It's not his fault. It was the disease. And it's not like he asked for this.
Right.
You know, he would be totally devastated if he actually knew what was going on.
Right.
And how bad he has gotten.
Really. Where is he now? I mean, he's in a home.
Yep.
We know that.
Yep.
He's in care 24/7.
Yep. Yep. He's in a wonderful assisted living facility. It's the same one he went to when he was in respite care.
Okay.
So it finally got to the point. The great thing about Life Circles is they realize that this is a huge toll on caretakers.
Sure.
And I wasn't retired. I wasn't the spouse. I was what they call, and I think Aaron had touched on it before, I'm what's called the sandwich generation.
Yep.
Because I'm not only taking care and raising my own family, but I'm also then taking care of my parents.
Sure.
So I'm kind of caught in the middle because I'm, trying to do both. And so they call that the sandwich generation. And so the great thing about Life Circles is, they gave me respite care. Every time we would start ramping up more, we have team meetings and everything like that. And in fact, tomorrow, funnily enough, I have an appointment with his doctors. I'd always go in. I always make sure I was very part of his care and part of his group, and part of the progression of where we're at with this, because you can't always ask him where he's at with it.
Right.
As one of the, I think his PT, physical therapist, was like, he's really good at faking it. You wouldn't think he's as bad as he is talking with him because he's really good at faking it. Where me, it's like he would talk with someone and I'm just like, wow, Dad, you're out of left field.
Right.
But I know him.
Right.
I know how his mind works. As my mother said, I act a lot like my dad. I used to get called, oh, you're such a Hagen. And not a nice, I thought that was okay.
Right.
But yeah, we got him into care. He loves it. That all came about because this past winter actually was the worst.
Yeah.
What really escalated it was one morning my husband went to leave for work and he found my dad laying face down out in the snow. We didn't even know he was outside.
Right.
Apparently he had gone outside to go have a smoke. Thank goodness. We're thinking he was only out there for about 10 minutes because my husband had just gone out to start the car and was going to drive away, and he's like, oh, the seats are too cold, I'm going to come inside and let the car warm up. And he came back in, grabbed some coffee, whatnot, and then went back outside, and that's when he was. So he wasn't outside, and then he was.
Right.
And all we can think of is thank God that day he just didn't drive away, because it would have been over an hour later before he would have been found. Because number one, we just didn't use that door. We had to put in a new door for him because he could no longer go up and down the stairs.
Okay.
So
some physical limitations started to happen?
Oh yeah, his body starts to wear down.
Okay.
He has to use a walker almost all the time now. So he started slowing down and that kind of stuff, which is part of getting frustrated because you'd hear him shuffling around the house. And,
right.
I'm like, oh, I would have got my butt beat if I would have done that at home. I can't tell you how many times I used to hear, pick up your feet, you know? And so, and then you're hearing it from him, the person that used to tell you to pick up your feet.
Right.
And he doesn't even realize he's doing it. So, but yeah, we had found him face down. I first thing I do is go right to a social worker. Okay, whoa, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
And at this point in time, that's where I'd already started going, okay, he's getting a little bit worse, more than what I can handle. This is getting to the point that it's starting to get beyond my capabilities.
Right.
And beyond what my kids can handle. And so once again, okay, now the stress started coming on, because I was like, when are we gonna, and I'm thinking, and I'm one of these people that I love to be proactive.
Right.
I try to have contingency plans for my contingency plans.
Absolutely.
It just makes life less chaotic for me. Not that I can't be flexible.
Well, but I mean, look at your life circumstance.
Yeah.
Single mother, 4 kids. I mean, there's got to be backup plans.
Yeah, and there's got to be backup plans for your backup plans.
Okay.
Because
fair enough.
Sometimes you start out with plan A and you're actually on plan D before something solidifies.
Right.
So, and I only went for like A. So I had learned over the years to have my contingency plans and okay, this is what I'd like to happen, but if this happens, then this is going to happen. If this happens, and this happens, and if it goes here, then it's here. And so I found it just made my life a lot less stressful.
Sure.
So my contingency plans have contingency plans. And so that's where I was trying to be proactive, and so we were trying to figure out what do we need to do, put like buzzers on the doors, the downside with that is, like I said, my husband leaves before I do. He leaves before everyone does. We may not always use that door, so if my husband uses that door, well, he's going to disable the buzzer and then he's going to walk out. It's
right.
not like he's going to come back in and turn it on.
Right.
So we were running into that of
what next?
What do we do?
Yeah.
One other day I was getting ready for work once again, and his caretaker, because like I said, I'd have a caretaker that would come in because the kids would go to school so early.
Sure.
They're leaving for school like by 6:30. And so they would leave, and then I'm trying to get ready for work because I don't have to be work till 8. And then so Dad's kind of hanging around until, the bus comes and gets him to take him to Life Circles, which was usually around 8 because I was usually gone. Otherwise, I ended up having to be late for work, and that's where, once again, work is just wonderful because if there were days that the caretaker didn't show up and I had to come in late, they were okay with that.
Shelby State Bank.
Let me tell you, thank you. So, I had that leeway and was able to be able to text him going, okay, the bus is late, I'll be there as soon as the bus gets here.
Yep.
I can't leave Dad.
Right.
Everyone was they understood, and the position I'm in now had that flexibility. So.
He's face down in the snowbank.
Face down in the snowbank.
Was it a physical thing?
He had blacked out.
Blacked out
and fell over.
Okay.
And couldn't get himself back up. It was to the point that when my husband had gone out there, he was kind of, at first he thought he was almost having a seizure.
Yeah.
Couldn't get himself back up.
The physical strength wasn't there.
The physical strength is really, it's completely gone. He can't get himself up. So that was one of the things they taught him, is how to get himself up. The other thing, we had another instance where he was laying in the doorway, and that's where I was going with this. We had to blow in a new door.
Right.
Because then there was only like this high that he had to step up, and still tripped. And so the caretaker had found him that morning because I was getting ready for work, and hadn't heard him leave out the door, and because usually I was trying to listen for him, but once again, privacy. I've got doors shut if I'm getting ready for work. Go figure. And so hadn't heard him leave, and she all of a sudden starts yelling and asking if anyone was in the house, and so he was laying at that time he wasn't face down, he was on his side, I think, but doors wide open. He had tripped trying to come into the house. So once again, it wasn't until we had gotten a doctor visit again, when I think that was like the prior 6 months, because it's every 6 months. So that was 6 months ago, because it was longer than that now, but anyways, and I sat down with the doctor and before Dad had come in, and at this point in time I also had a migraine while I'm there.
Fun.
Yeah, so they were thankfully really nice, and it kept the lights off for me, so I didn't have those big bright lights as I'm trying to deal with this migraine, but I didn't want to reschedule because it's so hard with job, to get everybody together, all the pieces together. So I sat down there and they're like, okay, where are you at? Do you have a breaking point? And I'm like, yes, and I just reached it.
So it took a great level of honesty.
Oh, yeah. Started bawling. I said, I can't do this. I can't. I watched my mom die.
Yeah.
Can't hold my dad's hand doing this.
Yeah.
You know, once was enough. Once was enough. I said, and I don't want to put that burden on my family either, or my kids. I said, you know, bad enough my husband is retired firefighter. He's seen all that, you know, and he said, thank God he was home to even help. He goes, but once again, it's a matter of time.
Sure.
Is one of my kids going to find him laying face down outside? Is he going to go out there when we don't know he's gone out there again? You know, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
You know, it's time. It got to the point that it was time. And the total breaking point was, I like to do a lot of 5Ks, you know, since I had gotten sick. So I do them with my cousin, and we were at the gym. My son was home. I'm like, okay, you gotta stay home. I'm sorry, dude. I'm gonna be gone just a couple hours.
Right.
You know,
right.
Watch Grandpa. I'm at the gym. You know, when we're done, I'll be back, because we, you know, like to get our pace together and everything. And I get a phone call from him. He goes, Mom, okay, don't worry. Grandpa's home. But I had to call his friend, and we found him. He was at, you know, he was at the gas station on the corner. How'd he get there?
Right.
I haven't been gone that long.
Right.
You know? Oh my gosh. You know, yeah, he had wandered away. He didn't think anyone was home.
And kids, just for your knowledge, kids, the first 2 words out of your mouth, don't worry. Don't
We
work.
worry.
Okay, that doesn't work.
No.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah, okay, what?
Yeah, right. Because your heart just sinks and your adrenaline spikes and you're like,
Yeah.
now what?
See,
you know,
it happens right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Don't start it that way.
Right.
Or we have a problem.
Right.
Don't start with that either.
So we're picking back up. We ran out of battery time there. Andy and Kelly here
Apparently I'm talking too much.
in our final segment on the Muskegon channel about the battle with Alzheimer's disease with your dad.
Yeah.
So we just finished up talking there about your 5K, your love of 5Ks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the things, like I said, after I kind of started getting better, I'm like, I really need to make sure, because part of it was, you know, a total life change. My body doesn't like chips.
Right.
And chocolate, even though, I mean, I like it. My body doesn't appreciate it.
Right.
So, you know, I had to...
Mine seems to like it real well.
Well, I got to remember to eat my fruits and vegetables and nutritious food, unfortunately. So, anyways, and what had happened is Dad had wandered away.
Yeah.
So I was going to the gym, and I had told my son, you know, you're home with Grandpa, keep an eye on him. Apparently, Grandpa thought he was home alone and decided to wander away. He got it in his head that he wanted some cigarettes.
Sure.
And that was one of the things. I couldn't get him to not stop smoking, which is not ever good with Alzheimer's.
Right. Not good with anything, really.
No. And unfortunately, that's where a lot I forgot to mention that part before the battery happened, that he would continue to smoke. I could get him to stop for a while, and then he would go back. And after a while, it was just,
yeah,
you know, what am I going to do?
Quit fighting it.
Yeah.
Right.
Just told him, don't be asking my 17-year-old son to take you up to McCormick's to get them.
Right.
You know, ask Matt, ask me, fine. Well, he wouldn't ask me because he wanted to hide it from me.
Right.
So at this point in time, he decided to go up, you know, so I got this phone call from my 15-year-old son, and he was like, Mom, don't worry.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah. Don't worry, Mom.
First 2 words you never want to hear, don't worry.
Yeah, because your first thought is, oh my God. You
what
know?
now?
What now? And Grandpa had wandered away. He goes, but we found him. He had to call his friend. They had found him walking out of the gas station about half a mile away from the house. Well, more than half a mile. Anyways, a ways away from the house.
Yeah.
You know, and I totally go in panic mode. I'm like, but he's home now. Okay, we're all right. And of course, I get home and I'm furious.
Sure.
And I'm furious because in my head, I'm thinking of all these things that could have happened.
Right.
You know, they do 60 miles an hour down that road. You know, if he would have fallen, you know, because he is using a walker. He is not steady on his feet. He does fall over on uneven ground, especially stumbles a lot. So, you know, in my head, I'm thinking of all these horror stories that could have happened. And so I'd ask my son, I'm like, well, did you remember to call said, you could have called 911 because we have him GPS.
Right.
It's like a little transponder thing.
Yep.
You know, that he wears, and he wears all the time. And generally with him, we had to keep it on his ankle because that visual reminder would agitate him.
Sure.
He did not like that visual reminder that he wasn't like he used to be.
Right.
So, you know, we moved it to his ankle, and that seemed to be a lot better. At least the agitation-wise.
Yeah.
So that Monday, because this happened on a Sunday, that Monday I had emailed his social worker, and it just happened to be that they were having a meeting of all the participants and everyone else, and she's like, she's going to go ahead and recommend that he goes into permanent assisted living.
Permanent assisted living, yeah.
And she's like, I'll let you know what the results are tomorrow, which would have been Tuesday. And Tuesday come and goes, and I didn't hear anything, and I'm like, okay. On Wednesday, I emailed her back, and I'm like, well, did you hear anything? You know, what's going on? And she's like, you know, totally apologized, meant to get back with you, but she had an emergency at the office, spent the rest of the day out. And I'm like,
these things
okay,
happen,
yeah.
right? I get it, yeah, right?
No problem. She goes, yep. She goes, but we had already talked to Day Springs, which is where he ended up going, and they said, well, they'll take him. We've already got it set up. They can take him as early as Friday.
Friday.
And this was on Wednesday.
This is 5 years of your life finished on Friday.
If I wanted it to.
If you wanted it to be.
And so when I first read that email, I literally just sat at my desk, and I think I just stared at my screen for a few minutes, and then I read it again, and I did not know how to process it at first. And I will say one of my first emotions was elation.
You were happy.
I was happy. I was happy that I was free. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm a bad daughter. You know, because that was my second thought was, okay, that was rude. You know?
Well.
But I was like, it's over. And that was, oh my gosh, it's over.
Yeah.
And so logistically, we just, because of things that were going on, you know, there was another coworker that was off. I couldn't take the time off. So that night I had gone home. They had asked whether or not I wanted them to talk to him about it. And I said no, and
This is family.
This is family. Dad and I had already discussed things of what, you know, at the beginning, that if he got to the point that he didn't recognize us, he definitely didn't want to be at the house. You know,
Right.
He didn't want his grandkids actually to see him the way that he knew it could go.
Sure.
You know, in his more, at the beginning, he knew it could get bad. You know, and he does say now that his worst fear is that he's going to forget everyone. You know, and I'm just like, in
Has
my
he
head,
forgotten?
He's forgotten a few people.
Has he? Not you.
No.
He remembers
No.
you.
He remembers me. He remembers my husband. We went there when my son came home a couple weeks ago, and so he was home on leave, and we took him to go see Grandpa, and he remembered, I don't know if he specifically remembered his name,
Right.
but he knew who. He knew.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and even then he sometimes, I remember at one point in time he had asked me, you know, he was talking to my son Danny, and he goes, now I know I'm related to him, but how am I related to him?
Right. Oh.
Yeah. So he couldn't remember how
Right.
that relationship, and I'm just like, you're their grandpa?
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, hello, you're my dad.
Right.
You know, these are my kids.
Right. And they
know,
just forget.
Yeah, he didn't understand the correlation of how that he thought he might be like an uncle or something.
Right.
So yeah, we ended up, I was able, like I said, to go in on Thursday, was able to get like Monday and Tuesday off. So that weekend we ended up being able to move in his stuff. So we were able to move in his bed. We were able to move in his dresser, his TV, I think we moved in like his radio and he had a bookshelf.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about my daughter and reading. We got our love of reading from both my mom and dad read.
Right.
You know, so that was both of them. And that was one thing he did when I got rid of my TV at home. We were able to bring in, or I got him a tablet so he could play games on that.
Right.
You know, he loves the adult coloring books.
Right.
Loves those things. And that was, like I said, one of the things I had found is he didn't backslide as fast as long as I could keep him engaged.
Right.
So TV actually was one of the worst things for somebody with Alzheimer's.
Really?
Worst thing ever. Because it doesn't keep their mind engaged. They literally, you could watch him just click right off.
That's it.
You just watch him click right off. Because there were times I'd sit and watch him watch TV, and you could watch him click off.
Yeah.
And so by actually getting rid of the TV, it was a good thing for him. And it was a good thing for the rest of us, because then he would stop, number one, manipulating it. You know, he had to watch TV.
Monopolize the TV.
Thank you.
Yes.
Could not say that word. I wanted to use a different one that wasn't correct. He wasn't manipulating it. He was monopolizing it. And so, you know, that helped a little bit too. But I just found he didn't backslide as much. And that was a good thing. Yeah. You know.
So Friday, you don't get him there. You get him there Monday.
Get him there Monday. So, and I'd taken Monday and Tuesday off.
Yep.
So Monday, like I said, Day Springs and Life Circles, wonderful facilities, both of them. If anything, try and reach out to these facilities. Or Life Circles is here in Oceana, Muskegon County. I know some other places have other things. They're not called Life Circles, but they do have other programs.
Sure.
These two are specific to our two counties. But you need help. And that was a huge lifting of a burden for me just when he got in that.
Right.
You know, logistically trying to figure out everything. But Monday I'm show up there, you know, to sign paperwork, because he goes off to Life Circles like he normally
Sure.
does. Got picked up on the bus. He goes off. Thank goodness I actually had the day off, because he'd forgotten his suitcase. He'd forgotten, you know, we had everything all packed up but his suitcase.
Right.
So, you know, the clothes that he had. And so I brought those with, and I was there, of course, when he showed up, and they were all giving him hugs, congratulating him. They had a little sign up on his door that says, "Welcome home, Terry." I mean, it was so heartwarming to see.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was so elated that he was going. Which I know probably makes me sound awful, but that's just, after 5 years of this, 5 years of not really being stuck in my house.
Yeah.
And if I'm not stuck in my house, one of my kids is. Because if I had to go somewhere, there were times that neither one of us could do something, that they couldn't go off and go to their friend's house because I needed them home because I had to be somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, or there are times that they wanted to go off and do something, and because I made this decision, not them, even though it affected them, this was my decision. So the majority of the burden fell on me, and it should, because that was my decision. I had always felt guilty if I made them stay home, you know. So it got to the point that it was like, okay, well, I will pay you to babysit, you know. And so that's what I tried to do to even help alleviate some of my guilt.
Right.
That I had to rely on them so much. So he loves it there. Now I try not to see him like once a week, because, you know, when he lived at home, I didn't go visit once a week.
Right.
I don't want my visits to become obligatory.
Right.
You know, where it's just this routine and it's nothing special.
Right.
I want, when I go see him now, I want it to be special. Like I would go and get him for, you know, like I said, when my son came home, we would go and get him. Or when my other son graduated, for his graduation party, we brought him home, you know. So I will still go out and take him out to eat, or I will bring him home, kind of
Sure.
thing.
Tell me what you felt that Monday when you left and he was at his new home.
I cried.
You cried.
I did, because it worked out so well. It was a win-win for everybody. Because he's happy.
Yeah.
And that is one thing I can't control the quantity of how long he's still going to be here.
Yeah.
But I can at least try and control the quality.
Right.
you know, and I just want him to be happy. You know, even as much as I resented that he was there, I still wanted him to be happy. I mean, this is my parent.
Sure.
You know, this is my dad. And so it was a little heart-wrenching, you know, because part of it was because I still was so elated. You know, I walked away from there just going, it's over.
I can't imagine the mixed emotions that
yeah,
you must have been going through.
Total mood swings. Not mood swing, emotional swing.
Sure.
Total emotional swing. You know, happy because he's happy. Guilty that I'm happy. You know, that, like I said earlier, I feel like a fraud.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's like, oh, you're such a great daughter. At least you did this. I said, but do you not hear the thoughts in my head? Do you not hear the resentment and the anger and the, you know, irritation?
Everybody thinks I'm a nice guy. If they could hear what's in my head, I'd be in jail. You know? I mean,
well, yeah. You know,
or swinging from a rope somewhere.
There were times, and that is one of the things. I mean, we do shoot.
Yeah.
And you know, we do have guns around the house, and my dad is a Vietnam veteran. We did keep our guns locked up.
Sure.
Because I didn't need, you know, a helicopter going overhead, Aeromed going by, or the police going by and have him have a flashback while we're all sleeping.
Right.
You know, or anything like that. So, you know, we always are very respectful, and that was one of the things, I wish I could have shot, you know, and he loved watching us go out and shoot. You know, he couldn't anymore because that was part of, you know, his body breaking down. But
we talked a couple ago about the stages.
Yeah.
What stage would you put your dad in now?
I'd definitely put him at late 5, early 6.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's the physical elements, the mental elements, and all that kind of stuff. And that seventh element, that seventh stage, is when they're kind of just
vegetative, kind of. Yeah. They pretty much, I mean, they're not there.
Yeah.
You know, they're not there. And I dread the day I go in there and he doesn't recognize who I am. I know it's coming. I just dread it.
Understandable.
I'm not sure emotionally how I'm gonna handle that, and I'll handle it when I get there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna stress over it because it's nothing I can change.
One day at a time.
Yeah. And stressing over something that hasn't happened yet is wasting my life.
Right.
You know. But I dread it. I'm sometimes wonder if I don't, like, maybe I should go there more. Is there more things I can do?
Right.
But like I said, I don't want my time there to seem like it's obligatory.
Right.
You know, I don't want it to be, oh, it's Wednesday and Kelly's here on Wednesdays.
Right.
You know,
I
don't want that.
Yeah.
I've always known I'm also the type of person that I've never liked assisted living.
Right.
Or nursing homes.
Ugh. The worst.
But this facility is very upbeat.
Yep.
And so it's...
I know Debbie.
Okay.
I know Debbie. She used to be, she lives 2 floors above me in my
Okay.
apartment. So I know Debbie, and I know the kind of attitude that they have at Dayspring, and I know the kind of people that live there.
Yeah, they try to keep it so upbeat and more laughing, and they have lots of activities for them to do, which is great because, once again, as long as they're engaged, it slows down. They plateau longer.
Yep.
You know, there's always a progression, and it's always a backslide is what I call it. They backslide. But they have plateaus, and if you can keep them engaged, you can get them and keep them plateaued longer. And I really think it was thanks to Life Circles, that has extended Dad.
Yeah.
Because he was at first backsliding so fast. And then once he got involved in that, he has been a lot better. And I think he's been with it now for 3 years.
Okay.
So yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. And it literally was 5 years.
5 years, your time.
My time. It was spring break, so the first week of April that he moved into my home. And it was April 1st that he moved out. So for 5 years, and 3 of it was part of Life Circles, and 2 was me on my own, the kids and I on our own. And that was, some rough 2 years. But
Final question before we wrap things up. I mean, I want to tell you this. You've been remarkable. You are 10 times the guest I even thought you'd be.
Oh.
This. Anybody that doesn't watch this and isn't completely moved by your story and this story is something wrong with them. But my final question is a hard one. Do you worry about this for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when I catch myself already.
Yeah?
I know a lot of it, not a lot of it. I know some of it is from what I'm already dealing with.
Right.
Having severe anemia, pernicious anemia, so my vitamin levels are just...
Right.
I have no vitamins. If
right.
I don't take vitamins, I have none in my system.
Okay.
My body doesn't break down food properly. So that's what pernicious anemia is. It doesn't break down the food properly, so my body doesn't absorb the vitamins that it needs.
Right.
Vitamin B12 specifically. Vitamin B12 is so necessary for your neurological health. So I used to joke sometimes I'm not sure which one of us had Alzheimer's. Because we both would be like, I don't know. To say that is a branch, I could not remember. There are times that I cannot remember to say that's a leaf or that's a branch.
Right.
I'd be like...
That's that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And so I know that's part of it, but that fear is back there.
Yeah.
You know, I can relate. I've had the head traumas. I was a teenager, broke my jaw. I forgot who I was.
Yeah.
That was one of my first memories coming to, is I couldn't remember my name.
Really?
That is how hard I was hit in the head.
Right.
Or how hard I hit, I should say. Broke my jaw, broke my chin completely off. I hit that hard. And so, trauma.
Sure.
One of the other things, talking about, I cannot stress enough, if you can get to research night, to go to research night at some point in time. If you can't make this year's, try and go, or at least, you know, look at some of the stuff on the website.
Yeah.
But one of the other researchers that they're doing is gut health, and how your stomach might play a part into
it
all
all ties
of this
together.
too. So then once again, I'm like, okay, and that's part of my issue. So, but then I go, all right, I look at even farther back, genetics. You know, I cannot tell you I've had either a family member, and these are aunts and uncles' mother, die of cancer.
Yep.
Or diabetes.
Yep.
So if I'm going to stress over it, okay, I can add in cancer, I can add in diabetes, I can add in Alzheimer's. You know what? I'm not going to stress over it.
Something's going to get you.
But I'm going to live my life.
Yep.
I'm going to go and do what I can, and I'm going to have fun. And I am going to make sure that I am a positive influence instead of being a Debbie Downer. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, because you know what, if I think that, oh, I'm going to get cancer, which I've already had my cancer scare, you know, I'm not. I can't live my life of what if.
I get it.
So I'm going to live my life of, I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to give back as much as possible. I cannot always give back monetarily, even now, you know.
Right.
Because darn it, I'm going to retire.
You're one step ahead of me.
That's my goal now.
I'm gonna have to work till they slam the lid shut.
Oh gosh, no.
They're gonna be packing me in there with a broom handle. Get in there, you're dead. You're not punching in today.
That was one of the things is I am still so very thankful of, is that my parents had that time together.
Yeah.
My mom had the ability to buy out her retirement early. She worked for the school system also. And so she had the ability to buy out her time early. So she actually retired 6 years before she was supposed to. She was diagnosed with cancer 2 days before she got her first Social Security check.
Unbelievable.
So if she would have waited, there wouldn't have been, you know, she wouldn't have had those years that she was able to do,
Sure.
you know. Granted, things were tight, and they didn't maybe get to travel as much as they wanted to. But she got a lot of time with my kids.
Yep.
She got a lot of family time in that she never had gotten before because she was working.
Sure.
You know, so to me, that's always more important anyways.
Yeah.
You know, money's money.
Right.
But you can't buy your family. You can't buy,
No.
you know, the connections that you can make like that. And the contentment I get from watching my kids now.
Yeah, sure.
You know. So I'm just thankful that they had that, and I'm not going to think about it.
Good. Fair enough.
Because I don't want to... Who cares? Something's going to get me.
I know, right?
You know, I'll just make sure I put it in there that if I even get slightly bad like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm very vocal about with my kids, you know. If I do start to get like that, get me help. You know, if we could have gotten Dad help even sooner, how much longer he could have been able to be more on his own.
Sure.
By the time we got him diagnosed, the medicine that is out there, it's great for stage 1, maybe stage 2. He was already at 4.
Yeah.
The medicine was useless.
Right.
Did nothing. And actually I found he backslid faster. So we just took him off it completely.
Right.
So, you know, and as more of this funding gets out there and they find more testing and some of research like last year was just phenomenal and very hopeful. Some of the things that they're finding and some of the testing that they're doing and a lot of the early diagnosis now, being able to do a blood test that would be able to tell if you have Alzheimer's or not. Well, that would be phenomenal.
It should be a genetic marker, shouldn't it?
Yeah. And that's the thing is catching that genetic marker. I mean, I don't know how many. I know we all have a lot.
Right.
Like millions, I believe, of, you know, the DNA markers.
Right.
So trying to find where it's at.
Right.
In your genetic code.
And that's where it all helps. That's where the walk helps.
That's where the walk helps.
The longest day of the year thing helps, and all those other things.
And you know, it's amazing. You don't have to give a lot because it all adds up.
Yeah.
You know, and even if it's just giving your help where you come down, like me, come down and volunteer.
Sure.
You know, even that helps. You doing this.
I'll be there.
Is phenomenal.
I'll be here. I am here.
Every little bit helps. It doesn't always have to be monetarily.
Right.
Because every little bit helps.
But I want to point out one final thing as we wrap up. I didn't do this. You did this.
You gave me the opportunity.
I facilitated. This is you. And just like we started this segment off, this is you telling your story, and I hope people out there hear it. Because they'll take your knowledge and they'll apply it to their situation.
I hope so.
And
I like I said, that's my biggest hope is that somebody else that is struggling and doesn't know where to turn will be able to see this and go, okay, there is help out there. And it is okay that I'm so
like
frustrated. Yeah.
I'm like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they want to reach out, I'm more than happy to. You could probably...
Well, we'll get them in touch with you.
Get them in touch with me. It's not like I want to put my personal stuff out there.
Right.
But, you know...
If the need's there, we can get them in touch
with you.
Right. Sure.
If you know, like I said, if it wasn't for my coworkers and my husband,
sure,
even, you know, because he would be just, there were times when we were at the time dating and he'd be like, yeah, that's normal. Yeah, that's normal. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Because this is not normal to me, you know? But yeah.
Your story is remarkable. And I know you don't feel that, but like we started this one off, there will come a day when you'll sit back and look at this and you'll see how remarkable you are.
I hope so. And like I said, now that he's there, I finally can be his daughter again.
Yep.
I no longer have, and as bad as this word may sound, it's not a burden anymore.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he's a burden to me. I now feel like I can be his daughter again.
Good.
And so we can reconnect because we also were, you know, disconnecting huge.
Sure.
You know. So I can be that daddy's girl again.
Yeah.
So we can reconnect.
Which is where we started.
Yeah.
With daddy's
girl.
So
it does come full circle.
You did it.
And I do have a little picture, me and a baby, no hair. So I was only a couple months old. It says daddy's girl on my shirt, or on my dress I think I was wearing, but yeah.
Well, daddy's girl, you did a great job telling your story. September 21st, it's going to be at Heritage Landing in Muskegon. I hope Kelly's story helped spur something along for you. If nothing else, it's been a great story to listen to. I thank you for spending some time with us today, telling this. I think the Alzheimer's Association is going to get years of work out of this because it's a great story. And if you want to do your part, follow the links right here on the Muskegon channel. We'll see you September 21st at Heritage Landing. Great job, Kelly.
Thank you, Andy.